Welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert, and welcome. This is a live Q&A where we talk about everything related to entrepreneurship and taking your career in your hands. So right next to my face, if you're watching this on the desktop or on mobile, you will see a chat box. Get in the chat, ask me any questions you may have on side hustles, entrepreneurship, startups, small business, business success, and alternative ways of making money and making your living and your fortune other than being an employee. Okay, that's what we're here to talk about. Now, just before we get started, I want to kind of apologize because I sat down at my PC maybe 20 minutes ago and started to fire everything up here. And I discovered that my levels on my microphone are completely different. They are completely screwed up. And I spent the last 5 minutes just trying to frantically kind of adjust levels. So if, the sound is kind of weird or whatever, I apologize for that. I had no time to troubleshoot it properly. I imagine it's one of those wonderful software update type situations where they update your software applications, they update your operating system, and they make all kind of changes under the hood, and then you come back, and even though you haven't made any adjustments to your settings or anything, things are different. And I really don't like that. I know a lot of people don't like that, but that's kind of the world that the IT people want us to live in. So here we are. Anyway, yes, I have done absolutely no preparation. I have no notes, but I'm just going to feed on questions. Now, until we get some questions, I just want to do a couple of things. I want to remind everybody that if you want to learn business, which is the key to success in doing business, I have a solution that I created for people who are in a particular situation, and that is called the $100 MBA. And what this does, it's a self-study program. You basically get it, and you get a couple of things. Number one, you get a book list from me of some amazing books in each topic. These are the books that are used in universities. They are used in places like Harvard in their MBA program, Masters of Business Administration program, to teach various courses. And you get to study those. And you also get videos from me that guide you through the material. I don't teach the material to you in its entirety, but I guide you through it, telling you what I think is very important, what is not important, and what may not be mentioned in the books that's very important. And it's entirely up to you to then study. It depends on your interest level. You can go as deep as you want, or you could skim it, whatever, that's up to you. But if you want to learn business and you don't want to go back to school and you don't want to pay an arm and a leg, I created the solution for people in that situation because I want people out there to be educated in business. There's so much pseudoscience out there. It's good to get the actual genuine material. And in vast majority of cases in this program, you're not getting it from me. You're getting from the top experts in the world in their respective fields. So check that out. Link in the description if you are interested. Okay, here we go. We got people in the chat. So Lima says, "Hi, Bill." Hi, Limas. How you doing today? And Sergej Draval is here. Hi, how you doing? It's great to see you here. Lima says, "When is the best moment to start a business? What is necessary to start, and how do you know if you are ready?" Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to give you sort of my take on this based on my personal experiences and what I've observed and kind of participated in advising a lot of startup founders and things. Okay. You go on. Okay. Or somebody else has a question, but I'll answer this first. What I'd recommend is the number one concern for people who want to do this, if you're not independently wealthy, you're just a working stiff, one of your primary concerns is going to be money to live, right? While you're investigating any kind of startup or entrepreneurial type ventures, right? So what I advocate for is that you get that under control. I do not recommend people quit their job so they have no source of income and then say, okay, I'm going to start a startup, and they've never done it before. Okay. I don't recommend that because, there's all kinds of huge time constraints that you're under then, and you have to get it right. And it's almost like saying, okay, I'm going to stake my life savings and my fortune on one round of golf, and I'm going to raise the stakes so that I have to get a hole-in-one to win the jackpot. And if I don't get the hole-in-one, then I'm screwed, okay? You don't need to do it under those conditions. I mean, people, like, obviously that stresses out many people who put themselves in that situation. And so I don't recommend it. So what I say first is, okay, first of all, have a steady income stream. This is why I like side hustles. If you have a day job and you have a little bit of extra time and effort during your week, to devote to other things. Some people devote it to their families. Some people devote it to hobbies or interests. Okay. If you are interested in this, devote it to some kind of pseudo side hustle. Like, it's almost like a research and development type project. You're going to try things in the world of entrepreneurship, and you're going to learn. You're going to learn from the experience. Okay, so that's how I would recommend people start. Now, your question is, when should you start? Okay, how do you know if you're ready? You are ready now. If you want to do this, okay, it's never too early. It's never too soon to try things that don't cost any money, things that take a little bit of your effort, but it kicks into gear the learning process. There's only so much, I mean, I'm flattered that you're here and you're listening to me, but there's only so much you can listen to when it comes to listening other people give advice. Like, there's only so much you can learn by doing that. At some point, the real learning has to begin, and that's by trying things and doing things and observing the results, okay? Some things will work, some things won't work. And the sooner you start doing that, the sooner you will really be on your way, okay? So if you could set yourself up with, if you have some kind of day job, okay? You have some kind of income source, so you're not like going heavily into debt doing this. And then on the side, start doing this stuff. This is not something that like you can just start cold and instantly be a success, usually. Yes, that does happen, but it's a rare exception. Usually the way people do this is, it's like learning anything else. You learn a sport or you learn a musical instrument. You got to put years and years of practice in till you really become a master, okay? And usually the way people learn is they didn't just quit everything in their lives and then just devote themselves to, I don't know, learning the violin or something. They and then instantly got good. Usually they were practicing the violin or whatever it is for many, many years, right? So that's what I'd recommend. You can start without spending any real money, just spending your effort and time, okay? And even just a little bit of effort and time at the beginning. That's why I like side hustles. They're a great way into the world of entrepreneurship, and it's a skill like any other. The more you practice at it, the more you do things, the better you get. So that's what I would say. And how do you know if you're ready? You are ready the moment you are passionate about it. And if that passion lasts, that proves if you're ready. If it's a fleeting thing that you lose kind of very quickly, then now you know. So hopefully that makes sense, Limaz. That's a great question. Sergey or Sergej says, can I start a business without seed capital? Absolutely. For example, a delivery service which brings groceries to people. Yeah, like, okay, in that case, depending what you're trying to do, your seed capital would be, your operating expenses. So you would have a vehicle or access to a vehicle. You would have income replacement for yourself, at least, right? Because in the very beginning, I mean, you have to pay rent, you have to eat, right? So you're going to need something to kind of pay you something during that so that you can do the business. And then marketing and sales expenses, basically. So it's not going to be that much. Now, if you already have access to a vehicle, you're going to be paying gas and things like that. That's all the seed capital you really need. If you are doing this on the side, which is what I recommend, it will go down substantially, right? So, yeah, I mean, you can do that. Just personally, that would not be a business model that I'd recommend. Unless you know what you're doing. Go and stick your toe in the water and try it and see if you can sell it and see if you can, actually deliver the service and verify what your actual costs are going to be, okay? That doesn't take a lot. If you got your heart set on doing this, take the next step and just try and do a little bit of it just to confirm what your theories are about how it would work, okay? One of the biggest theories you're going to want to confirm is how easy it's going to be to get new customers and how much you think they will pay for it. So go out and confirm that, okay? It's not enough to look up statistics on the internet. It's not good enough to look at what other people are doing. You have to verify it for yourself, okay? And if you can do all of that while you've got a steady income stream coming in from like a day job or something, that's perfect. If you find that it's not according to your expectations, like all the cost structure and what's involved and, you know, the ease of selling it and the revenue you'd bring in, if that turns out to not be what you're expecting, you then have the option of tweaking what you're doing to try and, improve it. Okay. But as I say, if you can do all of that while you're not, going deep into debt and worried about making rent because you have a day job, that's perfect. Cedric is here. Hey, Cedric. Dean says, hi from Bulgaria. Okay, here we go again. Bulgaria. Let's see. Okay, Hungary is Budapest. I get mixed up between the three. There's Romania, Hungary, and Bulgaria, right? I'll figure it out. It's Budapest, Bucharest, and Sofia. Those are the three capital cities. I keep getting it mixed up which one is which. But it's great to see you here, Dean. Cedric says, what is search engine optimization and how do you apply it? Okay, I'm not a big expert on it, but search engine optimization is basically the practice of doing things on the internet so that a website will rank higher up in a Google search or a Bing search or any other type of search engine. Okay, so that it used to involve very basic things like putting tags and keywords and things. Then it evolved into, creating articles and other links to the page all over the internet so that Google thinks it's a popular website artificially, and then it ranks it higher. It's all that kind of stuff. I don't really engage in it, so I've never paid anyone for it, so I'm not sure all the nitty-gritty details, but that's basically what it is. Lima says, would you recommend the incubator type of company? Basically, you don't pay some amount of taxes, but you also can't sing up long-term contracts. These are not all the pros and cons. Okay. I don't fully understand what you're talking about. Now, incubators are not, they're not companies, but they're a thing that's meant to encourage entrepreneurship and stimulate economic development through small business in a particular region or community. That's what it is. So you get this kind of low-level amateur kind of venture capital where you get people that will invest, quote unquote, in startups, usually more technical type startups. And, my personal experience is dealing with that stuff. It's been kind of shady. You get people that approach a startup, like a tech type startup, and say, would you like to join our incubator? In return, we will give you like a tiny bit of seed capital, but then you have to sign over essentially almost all your rights to whatever you invent or whatever, you create that's patentable, or, it's essentially like a weird form of term sheets that venture capitalists use. They make you sign away the future profits of your venture in exchange for a tiny little bit of seed money. And it feels really slimy to me, personally. But what I think it does, at least the things I've seen of this, is that it preys on the entrepreneur's lack of knowledge of business. The entrepreneur might be a technical type entrepreneur. They might be an engineer or a software developer. They come up with a new technology. They're doing essentially like a research project. They're trying to get some kind of technology to work. And but they are not salespeople, and they don't know business very well. They're not skilled in the art of making money and selling things. They have a technical background. So the incubator approaches them and says, look, we understand business. You don't. If you sign this contract with us, we give you a little bit of cash which we know you need. And in exchange, you've just handed over to us almost all the rights and future profits of this thing you're working on. And some people think it's a good idea. I think it's not the greatest idea. It's observing things like that led me to create this, because it's like learning business is really not that hard if you do it properly. I would advise people just to, you don't need these people, unless they have all kinds of really immediate, obvious personal connections to insiders, like in that industry, that can make things happen for you, like immediately, and it isn't just a con. They're saying that they have connections, like it's actually true. Then I'd still steer clear of them, but that's just me. So that's what an incubator is. Now you're saying, would you recommend the incubator type of company? Basically, you don't pay some amount of. I don't care about taxes when it comes to entrepreneurship in the beginning. Like, we're talking about what type of business to start up. I would not be thinking of taxes at that point. Okay. If you're profitable, you pay taxes. And, there's some little things you can do to try and minimize your taxes. But basically, as long as you're operating legally, you're paying a certain amount of tax. It's like, around 30%, depending where you are in the world. It's going to vary. But don't make your business plans based on taxes. Okay. That's totally putting the cart before the horse. Okay. Think of an idea that's going to make money. Think of something that's going to have lots of customers that are going to want to pay for what you're doing. You fulfill a big need of theirs, and they're happy to pay you for your thing, and they love it, and there's a huge market for it. Think of that. Okay. Focus on that, because if you get that right, just success will follow. Okay. Regardless of things like taxes and all the administrative side. Cedric says, what's the average amount of time to see some success in your business? Well, it depends. Like, what are you doing? If you're spending, obviously, if you ask an accountant that, they're going to tell you it's directly proportional to your costs and your expenses. If you're talking like, if you're on life's journey to learn how to be an entrepreneur and create your own career where you generate your own income just by yourself and your brains and your abilities, that can take a while. Okay. But time is going to pass whether you're working on this or not. So if 5 years pass and you've done nothing, you got nothing. If 5 years pass and at the end of it, all of a sudden you know how to create all these alternative income streams for yourself, you're doing something that's creatively satisfying for yourself. You're your own boss. You don't have to grovel in front of everybody, for the sake of a paycheck. It's great to do that, even if it takes people 5 years to get there. I don't know. I don't have any statistics on this. I would say 3 to 4 years average, like from the moment you start thinking of this to the moment you have replaced your income from a day job. That's just my gut feeling, like based on my anecdotal experiences. It depends what level of knowledge you're starting with. It depends what you want to do. And it depends how much you're willing to learn. Some people are just very stubborn and not willing to learn things. They do something, it fails. So they try something else without changing anything that they've done, and it fails again. And then they try a third thing, and they're really refusing to change their assumptions and their worldview, and it fails again. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're that type of person, it can take a very long time. It's about sort of trying things, learning some theory, learning some stuff from practice, and being open to learning, to revisiting your preconceived notions about the world and about yourself. And if you are able to do that, and you're more of a doer, right? You can like just roll up your sleeves and start doing things. You will have a lot quicker ride. You will have a shorter journey. So it's going to vary widely, but if someone put a gun to my head and said, you have to pick a number, I'd say about 3 to 4 years on average. Hopefully that makes sense. Samir says, hi, Bill. What are some side hustles that I can do while studying accounting? Basically, something I can do with a moderate and increasing knowledge of this field as a student. Okay. If you're studying accounting, the most obvious thing to me, okay, is to work as a bookkeeper on the side, okay? Because my understanding is if you're studying to be an accountant, you're not quite an accountant yet, you would still be a hell of a good bookkeeper, okay? You've got the personality for it, presumably. You've got the passion for that type of work. You're suited to that type of work, presumably. And you're in this for the long haul. You're not just doing it for cash. You would be a perfect person. Now, once you're on the inside of that, and what I mean by this is you could set up your own side hustle as a bookkeeper, because you're asking about side hustles. You could say, look, hello, I'm in business. I provide bookkeeping services. Any of you small businesses around that don't have time, you don't have the resources where you would need a full-time bookkeeper, but you're looking for somebody part-time, I can help you with that. Something like that. That would be the obvious thing to me. Now, if you want to branch away from accounting while you're a student studying accounting and you want to do a side hustle in another area, that's going to depend more on what you're interested in, what your talents are, and what you know about. Okay? But just to stick with the accounting thing, that's what I would say. So yeah, I would look at that first. Okay. Now, there's no other questions, so I'm just going to look at this again. Let's see if I can go deeper. What are some side hustles I can do while studying accounting? Basically, something I can do with a moderate and increasing knowledge of this field as a student. Well, if you go outside of accounting, then the sky's the limit. I mean, you can do anything that involves labor, like time, unskilled labor. So, walking dogs, driving people around, delivery, courier, all that kind of stuff. You could do stuff online, all the cliched standard things that people do online, things like drop shipping and, things like this. If you have more of a creative flair, you can offer maybe other services that you might have. You might have talents in certain areas. Like, let's say you know how to play a musical instrument. You could offer to teach people how to play a musical instrument. That extends to tutoring or any other specialized knowledge you might have. If you have certain skills, you can offer those for money. Or if you want to go the product route, okay, accounting is not product based unless you count an audit or something intangible like that as a product. But if you want to create something and sell it, I think personally, like going beyond your question, I think that if you're let's fast forward 5 years to 10 years. If you're an accountant, you're a professional accountant, you've got additional certifications to your name, you're maybe a certified financial auditor or a management consultant or a managing, like what they used to, in Canada, what they used to call a certified management accountant, which is basically a jumped up accountant that can make business decisions. Let's say you have that, or you're a chartered business evaluator, that kind of stuff. What would be very useful to me to hire, okay, if I was looking for something like a CFO, okay, would be somebody more than just an accountant, okay, would be somebody that has business knowledge. They've run a business unit. Okay, there's absolutely no substitute for that life experience of running a business unit. You really learn what is important in the world of running a successful business operation and what is not, what is less important. Okay, so if you can get a side hustle experience trying to start up a business outside of accounting, like just something, you're going to create something and sell it, or you're going to provide some service and sell it. If you can do that successfully, that would be something I would look for in an executive. That's what makes you executive material. I don't care if you've got a fancy MBA, I don't care if you've worked in fancy positions in large corporations. There is absolutely no substitute for helming your own business operation. And until you have that experience, you don't understand how to make decisions well at an executive level, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not alone in thinking this. A lot of business owners or CEO level people think the same way. You have to have that experience. So I know this is kind of not what you were asking. This is a bit beyond it, but I think any kind of startup venture like that would be good for you if you have ambitions to sort of climb the ladder and not kind of come up against the ceiling where it's hard to get to the executive level because people don't believe that you can prioritize good business decisions. Royce says, "Hi, sorry, this question is not related to the topic, but may I ask, is it worth studying a part-time MBA?" Well, seeing as though I'm kind of in the business of selling one sort of on the side, I would say yes. You can tell I'm biased. I'm giving you a biased answer because, yes, I happen to be selling one. But honestly, I do think it is. This is a point I make to people. Now, I sell a solution for people. It's this cheap little thing if you just want to learn business. But because I believe that, if you want to be in business, you need to learn business. If you've never been to school to learn business, you will be at a disadvantage, trying to start a business venture, right? It's like wanting to play in a symphony orchestra, but you've never learned a musical instrument. It's like, you're at a considerable disadvantage. Some people ask me, what is business? What do you mean by that? I say, look, you might have a skill or a hobby. Okay, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're some kind of carpenter or somebody who works with their hands. You create things. You can work with wood, you can work with clay, you can work with metal, right? You're like a welder, you can create things out of steel, whatever. That's great. You have skill trades, knowledge and experience and ability. That's great. You have capabilities there. The moment you say, I'm going to set up my own business where I'm going to be selling my services or selling my products, making things out of steel or wood or clay, the moment you do that, that's the world of business. Okay. The moment there's buying and selling and there's money involved, that's business. Okay. It's not enough to just have skills in the skill trades, creating things out of wood, metal, or clay. You need to go beyond that now. You're trying to sell things. You're trying to make a profit. You're trying to reach people and convince them that you've got what they need, and you want to present yourself in the most favorable light possible, right? So that's the world of business. Okay, these are skills that are outside just metalworking or whatever. And it's those skills that you learn when you study business, okay? So definitely it is worth learning the material that you would get in a Master's of Business Administration. That trains you to be, in theory, a general manager. That means you understand the cost side and you understand the profit side. Okay, I got some fancy cameras, so I'm just going to turn them. I'm going to turn them on just to get a bit of variety. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. Now, I sell a solution. There's obviously other ways you could learn this. You could go and take a 2-year university degree, and pay like $10,000 or whatever for it or more. And that will suit you fine. That'll really fill in those gaps in that knowledge. The other thing you need on top of that is experience. There's no substitute for actually doing it yourself. It's not enough that you have a job working in a company. You have to run a business venture. You have to make decisions about, I have to beef up my marketing. I have to beef up my sales. I need more sales. What am I going to do? Am I going to put money into improving my product? Am I going to put money instead into improving my marketing? Right? I also want to make efficiency gains in how I do this. Where should I put my time? Where should I put my money? What are the results? And how do these things relate to each other? In what situation, right? This is what you're going to learn by actually doing this stuff in the real world. So that's important too. But you should start with the theory, okay? The problem is that if you looked at things like LinkedIn, you look at Forbes, you look at the places where people look for business type news, in my opinion, it's very poor quality. People pass off their opinions as if it's like established business principles. It's like, nope, wrong. They tell you business principles, like they'll talk about leadership or whatever, and it's wrong. What they're saying is incorrect. Like it's been proven incorrect by management scientists, people that work in universities and have PhDs that study this stuff. you're not publicizing the truth about that topic. You're passing off some thoughts of your own, which are actually incorrect. So there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of pseudoscience out there. Just in Google, basically, and LinkedIn and all these sources you can go online. You go to the bookstore like Chapters or Indigo, you buy a book on business, a coffee table type book. And like a lot of those they're very poor, in my opinion. Not just my opinion. In comparison, you can get access to the real deal. And like I've said, people, go to the website of some good universities, Harvard, Yale, whatever, things that are known for their business programs, okay? And look at the courses in their business programs and look at the textbooks. A lot of times they will publish that. They'll say like, so even though you're not registered, you're not a student, you're just in the public, you can see what the courses are called, who's teaching it and all that, and what textbook they're using. And then you can go and order that textbook from Amazon, like maybe an older version of it, maybe 5 years old, 10 years old, which has like 99% the same information. And then it's like $5, and you can just take it and read it, right? So it is possible to get this knowledge for cheap, but one way or another, yes, I highly recommend that you get an MBA or an MBA equivalent, and yes, I'm biased, but don't take my word for this. Go and corroborate it. Or best yet, go and try something. And then what's usually going to happen is that what you think is going to happen on your first attempt will not happen. Something else will happen. It won't go according to plan. And you'll be wondering, why? Why didn't that work? And then you go and you learn the business theory. And it's like, okay. Now I understand. Now I understand the importance of this. Because I tried it the other way and it totally failed. This is the key, right? So yes, I highly encourage it. Cedric says, I have a very good work ethic for my job, but I cannot translate the same level of energy to my business. Where is the disconnect? First of all, I'm not a psychologist, but just an amateur opinion since you asked. There's a variety of reasons why that could be happening. It could be burnout. That's the most obvious to me. It's like you've just been doing this thing without a break for a long time. And no matter what it is, it'll get old sooner or later. You could do the most enjoyable hobby, right? Whatever your hobby is, you want to race cars or, do parasailing. Whatever your hobby is, if you were doing that 24/7 every day for week after week after week, after a certain amount of time, you start to get tired of it, right? So it could be this. That would be the most obvious thing, okay? Second thing is that you've lost your passion for that particular thing, or there's some element of what you're doing that you're just not into. When you work in a business, you got to wear many hats. Some people enjoy doing certain activities. Other people don't. For example, some people are like natural salespeople. They enjoy that. They like to do personal selling and talk to people. They're very extrovert. Other people hate that. It's anathema, right? They would rather work on the business. They would rather, find a more efficient way of doing the administration or something. So it depends what your personality is and what you're involved in. So it could be one of the business activities that you have to do that's part and parcel of doing your business that you're just not passionate about. Sometimes you can force through that. Okay. I've been in that situation many times. Sometimes you can just push through it. I don't enjoy doing this, but I'll at least do the bare minimum so I can do the things I really enjoy. Other times you can't. You might need some help there, or you might need to change what you're doing so you don't need to do that. You eliminate the need for it. Okay. It could be anything. I would need more to go on to help you further than that. Lima says, if not, do you recommend any other sites for that? Now, Lima, as you were asking, the incubator company and taxes. Sites for what? For incubators? You were talking about taxes, contracts, and incubators, and then you're saying, could I recommend sites? No, not really. I don't have any. I was basically saying, I kind of steer clear of incubators. I don't recommend people use them unless there's a very particular sort of need that they can help you with. I look at them a little bit as parasites, at least in my experience. That's kind of the impression I've had. So no, I would not be able to recommend sites. Sorry. Jacob says, this is great information. I have a question. I do a logistics and accounting job. I'm trying to find a side job in logistics. What's your advice? Like how to get a job? Yeah, this is not a job-related live stream. This is called Side Hustle Ideas. We talk about entrepreneurship. So sorry about that. Maybe come back later where I do an open Q&A for how to get a job. That's what the live stream's called. Royce says, thank you very much. You're absolutely welcome, Royce. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck of it. Look, invest in yourself. That's the most unoriginal thing I can say, but it's true. Invest in yourself. If you have a passion or an interest to do an entrepreneurial type thing, to not work as an employee your entire life, to be able to learn how to make money directly yourself without having to go through somebody else and get their permission and have them make the money and then give you a little piece of it. If you have an ambition to do that, learn as much as you can, especially when you're young. Most people on YouTube are kind of in their 20s. That's the biggest demographic there. And it's an incredibly amazing time. It can be a really challenging time, very kind of scary, very kind of confusing, but you have like unbridled energy and passion at that moment in your life, like in your 20s. And you got a lot to learn. Most people have a lot to learn, but you have energy that people like me, like in your 50s and stuff, you're so jealous of, right? That's what you guys have that I don't, and people of sort of my generation. And don't worry, you will get to my age eventually, and you will know what I'm talking about. So learn what you can. If you have passion, if you have an interest in learning this stuff, learn it. Find some way of doing it that's not super expensive. Yes, I got a course. Maybe you'd want to, go a bit higher level than my $100 course. You'd want to, do something that's a bit more involved. That's cool. Do it. This is the time to learn. This is the time to, to sort of get the tools that are going to allow you to just knock it out of the park, like, in your 30s and 40s. Okay. Even if you were going for a conventional type career, you're wanting to just get a regular job or whatever, get like that piece of paper, the qualifications, get that in your 20s. So like it opens the doors for you for your 30s and 40s when you add experience on top of it, but this is no exception. So yes, if you're kind of on the fence, should I learn this or not? Do it. Okay. Do it. If you don't really know, if you don't know if this is your passion, okay, that's why I sell like a really cheap kind of thing here. It's like, it's really not that much a commitment. Or you can do stuff for free. I'm not necessarily trying to push you to buy my course. I'm just saying, like, don't bet the bank on something you're not super sure you want to do. But if there's any doubt there, you think you might want to go this path in life, learning business is an incredible skill. It's the art of like how to make money. It's the science of how to make money. That's really cool. It's great in that it can take a creative passion you might have and turn that into a money-making thing. Okay, that's what it can do. Back when I was younger, the thing that a lot of young people wanted to do is they wanted to be in a band, like a rock band or something like that. That was the thing. So it's like you got all these people, and some of them were quite talented. They learned their instruments and they were very creative. That's great. But the problem was, you then want to try and make money at that game. That's when they really fell flat on their face because they didn't know anything about business, right? Part of business, which is marketing, is the science of how to make something popular. Because if you're trying to sell something, in order to do that, you have to do a few things. You have to get the word out. You have to talk to people that would probably buy into it. And you have to convince them that, this meets their needs and this is worth doing and you have to charge a reasonable price, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you do that stuff right, you spread the word on this thing and you make it very popular, right? It's the science of how to make something popular, okay? I mean, that's really useful knowing that stuff, even beyond just doing your own business. So, yes, I highly encourage people to learn this stuff, especially when you're young. You have the rest of your life to benefit from it. Where did I leave off here? Okay, Surjet says, thanks, Bill. When you say you would not recommend grocery delivery business model, which would you recommend currently? Well, I mean, it depends. Depends on your situation and what you want to do. No, I mean, look, that's a model that can work, okay? In theory. But the reason why I advise against the grocery delivery model, just I mean, like, what do I know? I don't know your situation. I don't know what the opportunities are for you. So, I mean, this is just, it's probably not the most valuable opinion, but the grocery delivery business, like a lot of sort of unskilled startup ideas, where you're basically in a transportation area, right? You're basically going and picking up something from a grocery store and transporting it to a person's home, right? There's not much skill involved in that. You're basically, it's a business that relies on margins, right? Let's say you want to buy a carton of milk. Let's say the carton of milk costs $5. Let's say you want it delivered to your home, okay? So maybe you pay the delivery service $10 for that carton of milk, $5 to buy it, and then $5 to transport it. Okay, so all the handling and transportation. So it's a business based on margins, okay? And because it's unskilled, it's all about efficiency, right? Now, at that game, any large player, large company that does this, will always have a considerable advantage over any small player, which is economies of scale, okay? Because they can operate very efficiently. They can take orders in bulk. They can fill them in bulk. They have special vehicles, like, they're very, very energy efficient vehicles that are suited to this kind of work. Their transportation cost is very low. So they will always have an advantage. Now, where you can get a competitive edge is in the service side of the business. You could say, like, okay, this isn't just about some dumb service that like is delivering like a thing. It's like a package delivery. This is like a premium service. What we're going to do is we're going to give you VIP service. We're going to not just transport the milk from the store to your home. We're going to provide additional services. We're going to recommend what groceries you should get. We know all the best places that have the best products. We can give you, you don't have to make a list. We will make the list for you. You just say, I want to eat healthy, or I want to do this or that. And we will figure out all the details and provide you with a sort of delivery schedule of food to your house, or whatever. Like we provide those value added services. That's where the money is. That's where we can have the edge over a large organization that has economies of scale, because they treat you like cattle. They treat you like a number. They don't give you personalized service. We do that. It's a premium service based on customer service, where we give value added service above the transportation. Okay, so maybe if you said, okay, I want to do that, and I happen to know how to sell to rich people, I know where they all live in my city, so they have the money to pay for this premium service, but they don't have the time to go shopping, I fulfill that need. Something like that. If you said, like, okay, this is my plan, then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Now, the next step would be then, okay, put your money where your mouth is. Go out and sell a bunch of these contracts. Sell, like, I don't know, 50 of them. So if you can get 50 clients, okay, that will sign up for this and start sending you money. You pay up front and then we deliver, right? See if you can get that. If you can get that, then you take the money and you get started, okay? If you try it and you can't deliver that, you don't, what you're pitching to people, they're not buying, then Now you haven't spent any money and you haven't spent any time and you haven't had to quit your job. So it's a win-win-win, and you've learned something along the way. So that's how I would advise people proceed with that type of service. Okay. If you're going to go and do the grocery delivery thing. Dumpling abroad. I remember dumpling abroad. Do you have any advice or words of wisdom that will give me a kick up my rear end to squish the fear of approaching people, small businesses, to start working with them? Yes, there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, I assume by your question that you're like me, more of an introvert type. You're not some extroverted social butterfly salesman type. What you can do is, first of all, there's a couple of things. Number one, if you've worked in a small business, get a job in a small business or start dealing with a small business, go and see the inside of it. Then you will be able to speak their language. You will understand their needs. When you say, I offer this, their ears pick up and go, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? That helps, okay? Alternatively, the method of connecting with these people, if you are going to some kind of event, a small business event, a chamber of commerce event in your city, something like that, all the representatives of all the small businesses are there. There's a reason why you're there. You're there to connect. That's the whole purpose of it. It makes it easy. So when you come up to, somebody that owns a small business, and you give them your business card and they give you your business card, you say, hey, it's good to meet you. How you doing? How's business? And you start talking, you say, oh, it's interesting because we actually sell something like that. If you ever have that problem, maybe consider checking us out. I can arrange for like a free demonstration or, of what we do or, something like that. That's the appropriate setting. They're there looking to connect. They're there looking to talk to people they don't know. So it makes it easy for you to then approach them and talk to someone that someone they don't know and try and sell them something, right? So that's the advantage of doing it within those settings, like the way you connect with them, as opposed to just knocking on somebody's door and try to do like a personal selling type thing. The fear of approaching people. It also helps, like this is something that applies to what I talk about on, how to get a job stuff, where I talk about informational interviews. I'm going to be doing a live stream about informational interviews in the next week or two. But the thing is, if you want to connect with somebody you don't know, it helps if they invite you in. Okay. Like if you send them a message online through LinkedIn or through email or some other channels and say like, look, I'd very much like to speak to you, blah, 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 this kind of thing. Are you interested in this? I might be able to help you solve this particular problem, and I can give a free sample. You don't have to pay anything. We can come in and do this work for you and you can tell me what you think. And we'd also welcome your feedback, something like that. Now, some people will respond to that. Some people won't, but some people will say, sure, come on in. Let's talk. We're interested. So it helps when they invite you in and then you go and you talk to the person and they're interested and they called the meeting and they're happy to see you and they're listening, right? Like it makes it easy for you to do your thing under those conditions. So you can try and do that kind of situation where you send out kind of, a sort of proposal or an invite or a note, and then some people will respond, some people won't, and then they invite you in. It makes the whole thing a lot easier. So there's different ways of getting around this kind of stuff. Listen, I have to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to answer the last couple of questions here. Asking for a friend, me, who hates rejection. Yeah. Well, we all hate rejection, don't we? Some more than others. But yeah. Now, if you're a salesperson, you realize that like it's a numbers game. If I talk to 100 people, 70 will say no, 30 will buy. So if I want to make 30 sales, I talk to 100 people, right? Like once you realize this, you're like, okay, that doesn't matter. Hey, the name of the game is people saying no, because if I get enough people saying no, I get a certain number saying yes, and that's what I'm in the game for, right? Once you have that mentality, it makes it a little bit easier. Personally, I still don't like doing it, but especially extroverted type people. Some people are suited to this, you know, and it's sort of a fantastic thing. What are some side hustle with logistics? Okay, I've only got a couple of minutes, but I mean, the obvious thing is courier. Basically, to get the answer to that, if you've ever worked in logistics, which hopefully you have, if you've ever worked in a warehouse, if you've ever worked in a dispatch area, you will know what the side hustles are, because the problems they're struggling with, the things that they wish they could have extra help with, you can offer that as a service. You can say, hey, hire me, I'll come in and I'll help you with this. Okay. Dumpling Abroad says, yes, a huge, massive introvert. Well, the good news, Dumpling Abroad, is that if you're an introvert, the easiest way to overcome this is do it online. Maybe you're nervous about talking to people in person, especially business owners or people like that. But maybe, talking to them online is something you can do, right? You have less social anxiety. You could try that sort of vector as your way to do your marketing and do sales, right? There's all kinds of possibilities out there, and you can customize things. Royce Lees has a super thanks, so thank you very much. That's our super chat. Thank you, Royce. You're awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate the show of support. Dumpling Abroad, that's an amazing answer. Thank you. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for saying so. Jacob Tremble says thanks. Listen, thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. I will be back with another live stream for Side Hustle Ideas this time next week. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Always remember, you can take your career in your own hands, and you don't need to go through any kind of employer to make money. Just remember that. Thanks very much. Take care.